In three, two, one. Welcome back to the Alaska Sports Talk Podcast, your number one source for everything that happens here in the last frontier on the sports scene. Keaton Homer, Isaiah Freeman along with you. Glad to have you along wherever you get AST, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Like and subscribe wherever you get AST, as we are in the midst of yet another full slate of state championships, wrapping up some state championships last week with track and field, and then also state soccer as well. Well, we got some more state championships coming up this week as we get ready for baseball and softball coming up here this weekend on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. D1 and Division II baseball and softball championships coming up, so we'll be busy with those. I know you were out at state soccer last weekend.
Well, I
I
was.
know that
Oh
was
yeah.
there's some
It,
exciting games, and we'll
there
touch on
was
those.
there were some very exciting games.
Some history kind of being made as well. I know definitely in the boys side of things, at least from West perspective, and we'll touch on that here in a few moments. But track and field, I know you were busy doing other stuff and things like that, getting
Yeah.
things going with soccer, and I think it's just important to mention, at least from the D1 thing of track and field, the Chugiak Mustangs.
Yeah, this is impressive.
Huge performance. Hasn't happened in 40 years, what they call the double double. So the Chugiak Mustangs earlier back in the fall of 2024, they won the boys and girls state cross country meets.
Yep.
Okay. And then come springtime, just last week, right? They won the boys and girls state track and field meets as well. First time that a school has pulled that feat off since Bartlett High School back in the early 1980s, back in the 84-85 school season. So the Chugiak Mustangs pulling off some history. And I think for the girls, it's the fourth time they have won the state championship in track and field, I think. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's spot on, at least from the stats and research that I got earlier. Making sure.
Stats
Okay.
and research.
Yep. All right. Just making sure. Yep. All right. I'm getting a thumbs up. So I think I'm good. All right. Stats and research says I'm good. So if somebody says no, you're wrong, please let us know in the comments of wherever you get the Alaska Sports Talk
And
podcast. That's
and
happened
and we'll
before.
be sure to let stats and research know.
Yes. Yes. Yes, we will. So I know Aaliyah Fields, a huge part of that. Chugiak Mustang girls track and field program, a senior, also part of the cross country team as well. She was a huge cog into their success this year. The boys were probably a little bit more of a surprise, especially in the cross country realm of things, I think. And also maybe turning some heads in terms of the track and field, just because they were a little bit younger. They've had some younger guys step up on the boys team this year that really helped them and propelled them and lift them to a state title. So congratulations to the Chugiak Mustangs. You can check out all the results, by the way, from the state cross country, state track and field meets that were this past weekend. Chugiak boys were actually tied with Soldotna, and the Stars had a terrific performance as well, but however
Yep.
tiebreakers work, Chugiak ended up winning those points to vault themselves into first place of the state track and field. So a very exciting time out at
Absolutely.
Diamond High School. A lot of people there. I saw some footage of the track and field events, and I was like, I was curious because I was not a track and field person in high school, and I never went to any track and field events when I was in school. I'm like, how many people actually come out and watch these things? Like, what? Like, I know mom and dad obviously probably supporting, grandparents, whatever, family members. And then I'm looking at the state meet and I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of people here. Like, this isn't just mom and dad and grandma and grandpa.
Nope.
There's a lot of folks.
No, there's definitely surprising how big it gets. And it wasn't the best weather. If the weather was even
No.
nicer, we would have had a lot more people there.
Yeah. At least it wasn't like today's weather. Like,
No, that's
today's
100% true.
weather is weird, dude. I don't know how windy it's been down in
It's not
Anchorage.
it's not been too bad.
Well,
It's not been too bad, but it has been cool and
Yeah.
kind of wettish and then not wet and then wet again. It's all over the place.
Well, it got so bad they canceled an ABL game tonight, Alaska Baseball League game tonight. The Chinooks and
Oh,
Glacier
really?
Pilots were supposed to play at 6 o'clock down at Mulcahy, and they're like, "Yeah, we're scrapping today's game because of weather." I'm like, I look outside.
Wow.
I'm like, it's just windy.
Wow,
I'm
that's
like, is it
surprising.
like?
Wow.
I'm like, what's going on there? So,
Must have gotten a lot worse down by Sully. I was over there today and I mean, it was just cloudy, but it wasn't rainy or anything or windy.
well, what's also weird was that I went and checked both social media websites, Pilots and the Chinooks. The Pilots scrapped the game according to their social media because of field conditions. Right? I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's going on in Mulcahy. That's kind of weird. And then I looked at the Chinooks and it said today's game's canceled because of uh, inclement weather that is coming into the area. I'm like, so you're anticipating the weather coming in that hasn't come yet. But anyway,
Hmm.
neither here nor there. They canned a game, so
They canned the
they
game.
canned it. Yeah, the Bucks and the Miners, I think, are still playing out at the Valley tonight. But I'm like, okay, whatever. So
Hmm.
for them to cancel ABL games, by the way, this is completely, side topic. Like, it has to be torrential downpours. Like, as few games, they play a lot of games, obviously, through the course of the season in 2 months, but the schedule is so tightly compact. Like, there's not a lot of wiggle room for them to, like, move things around or have double headers and that kind of thing. So it has to be really, really severe weather. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I was just kind of shocked that it got canceled. But anyway, yeah. So state
It's
track and field,
it's part of
wrap it up.
sports.
Part of sports.
Part of
They got to deal with,
sports.
well, every sport's got to deal with weather, I guess, and some
Yeah.
sport, well, unless you're inside. So, see, that's what we could do.
Well, you still kind of got to deal with it a little bit, even if you're inside.
Well,
Shovel the parking lots, planes get canceled.
okay, all right, I can see that.
It gets to be messy.
If you're in the dome, it deflates because there's too much snow. Oh, I didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. That actually happened.
Yeah, I did.
I do remember that now.
Oh my gosh, that was a cluster, wasn't it? Like, what are
That
we gonna
wa-
do?
that
Yeah.
was a cluster, no
Oh
doubt.
boy. But anyway, so uh, the event that you were at, state soccer championships out of the Valley this past weekend, we had a lot of state soccer games that were fantastic
We did.
uh, throughout the course of the weekend. We take a look and recap some of the Division One, Division Two boys and girls state soccer. Where do we want to start? What division do we think we want to lead
Let's
off with?
go. Let's start with Division Two.
All right.
Girls. The Kenai Central Cardinals ended up winning 2-0 over Soldotna. Kenai came in as the number one seed, and they were pretty. The first round they were pretty dominant. There were some Soldotna Ketchikan was close 1-0 for the first round, but everything else was pretty much uh, not chalk, but
Yeah.
more lopsided victories. Homer upset Palmer in the first round
Right.
4-1. Monroe ended up upsetting Grace 5-0. And then Kenai kind of got on top of Reddington real quick and ended up winning 7-0. The semifinals were pretty close. Kenai Monroe 2-1. Soldotna ended up beating Homer 3-1. And then Kenai took uh, the championship for the D2 girls 2-0. Pretty competitive games, but Kenai definitely showed out that they were the number one seed. You could
They
you
were the
could definitely
class. Yeah.
tell you could definitely tell. On the D2 side, that was another competitive tournament. The first round again went pretty much chalk. Some more lopsided victories. A lot of nil, 3-0,
Nil.
5-0 kind of thing. Nil. I remember you
Nil.
can't say
Nil.
zero.
Nil.
You got to say nil for soccer. Um, and then the semifinals, Soldotna took charge of Kenai as the number one seed and ended up getting into the championship. And then Palmer ended up upsetting Ketchikan 4-3. And I believe that was an overtime game into shootouts. And then Palmer ended up winning 3-2 over Soldotna. And I believe that was in regulation. That was not an
Yeah.
overtime game. So again, a lot of competitive games. Then you go to the D1 girls, and man, South and Diamond, South and Diamond. They
We
just
kind of thought they would be on a collision course.
kind of thought they were on a collision course, and they ended up in the championship game. But I do have to say, the Colony girls Diamond ended up winning that game 1-0, and Colony had them. It was tied for the longest time, obviously, into the second half, I believe. And then Diamond that one goal, and Colony basically had more of a try and stop them defense and then take your chances on offense. And it almost paid off for them. They ended up only losing 1-0. And then in the championship game, I think South had a little bit of revenge on their mind from last year, and they ended up winning 4-0. So South ended up with their undefeated season. I believe they finished with 17 wins and no losses, and I think it was one tie,
Something like that. Yeah.
something like that. So again, South Diamond final, and yeah, South takes it. And then on the boys' side, there was for Division One, man, there were some really close games. I can tell you at Colony, we've talked about it on other podcasts about the overtime rules and all that and how it can make for long days. Well, we weren't 2.5 hours behind this year at Colony, but we were an hour behind because we had two overtime games a day, basically, and they all went to shootouts pretty much. Well, excuse me. One overtime game a day went to shootout, and one of the shootouts went to the one-on-one shootouts after the fives had tied. So first rounds were really competitive. South Colony, that 7 p.m. game was really competitive. 2-1. That was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Colony ended up winning up 2-1. And then the Diamond West Valley game was really back and forth. That's another 2-1 matchup. West Valley winning that. West showed its really regular season strongness, and that was 4-0 over Wasilla. And Juneau Service 2-1. A lot of 2-1 matches that first round. And then the semifinals, I think that's where things really got interesting. Colony is the number one seed. They ended up losing to West Valley 2-1. West Valley was the 5 seed. They punched their ticket to the championship. And then West Juneau was, this game was wild. This game was actually at Colony, and West had pretty much controlled the entire game, Keaton. I mean, the entire game.
Yeah.
And then with about 8 minutes left, Juneau scores a goal. And then not 2-3 minutes later, there's a penalty kick that Juneau was awarded, and they end up tying 2-2. Less than 8 minutes. I mean, and West had controlled the game. And it wasn't just, oh, West got a couple bounces or anything. West controlled that soccer game. And they ended up in overtime. It was back and forth, and West ended up taking it in the second 10-minute half with the goal, and they ended up winning. And then the championship game, I know I posted it on the Alaska Sports Talk site via Colin McDonald, our marketing guy, who took video of the penalty kick that ended up winning the tournament and the championship for West. 1-1, and then went all the way to the shootouts after all the overtimes, and West ended up winning, then 2-1. So just an exciting, crazy time. Caleb, the soccer coach
Caleb
for
Kewen,
West,
yeah.
yep, he ended up telling me that West gave up 5 goals all year, and 5 of those 10 were on penalty kicks. I mean, that's just a wild stat right there.
Yeah.
That is a wild stat. So it's unreal. West, you could see from the joy on the bench, and you could hear the crowd, and it was actually a really big crowd considering how late it got in the valley, and the weather wasn't the best throughout the
Yeah.
day over at Wasilla. A lot of rain. Got a video from Lynn Young from OPA that showed the rain, and yeah, she wasn't real thrilled about the rain for that soccer, but she was thrilled with the matches. They were pretty incredible.
No, they were. I mean, I
It
saw a
was
little bit of
wild.
video from that
Oh,
D1 championship and the finish as the shootout goal, by the way, scored by Amin Abakar, who picked up that game-winning goal for the West Anchorage Eagles. 110 minutes of
well, a lot of
time,
soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that was after 110 minutes of playing time, by the way. Then it finally went to the PK, the penalty kicks, where Abakar uh, netted the game winner and the state title for the West Anchorage Eagles. Noah Robinson, by the way, who had a terrific season, going into the state title. He picked up 3 goals through the course of the tournament, a goal in each of the 3 games he was
Those are
responsible
big.
for. So he came up clutch for the West Anchorage Eagles. So picking up their first state championship for the first time since 1993. And I had a chance to talk to Caleb Keelan through text message briefly earlier in the week, and he was saying it's kind of a unique thing for this team because Leif, their assistant coach, was the head coach the last time that West had won the state title back in 1993, and so he's still part of the program now as an assistant, but he was the only person around that had tasted a little bit of a state title back in 93, and now picks up his second with the West Boys soccer program. That's pretty cool. Also, side note, Division II girls soccer back-to-back championships for the Kenai Cardinals, by the way. They do the defending champion from a year ago. They beat Juneau a season ago, and then they beat Soldotna this season in the state championship. So congratulations to the Kenai Cardinals on back-to-back Division II
Back to back.
girls soccer state championship. So a lot of games, a lot of
A
soccer,
lot of games.
a lot of
A
football.
games. A lot of football.
Yeah, football. So
A lot of games.
a lot of stuff. So soccer season in the books. That only means one more state championship left on the docket. Well, actually, 2 more, I should say. You have baseball and you have softball
Right.
coming up. And so, speaking of that, let's take a look at the brackets that were revealed. We'll talk about the softball bracket. Kind of, it's a little bit different.
It's a little different. Yeah. It's a little different than baseball.
It's not a bracket yet,
correct.
I should say, right? Kind of explain, Isaiah, how softball works.
It's because it's 6 teams. Basically, what it is it's split into pools on Thursday. So there's a pool A and there's a pool B, and that's basically on a rotation basis. So it's not, there's no seeding, there's no nothing like that. It's just the teams are split into 2 different pools based on a conference rotation of matchups.
right.
So that's all set. They've got the times, the brackets. You can actually look at the brackets online right now, and it has that pool play schedule. There's only 6 teams, so it's 3 games per pool. And then once those pool games are done tomorrow or on Thursday, depending on how you place in the pool, that's where you'll get put on the bracket. So Friday or Thursday night late / Friday morning, if you look at the brackets online, you'll see where all those teams are placed for those Division I and Division II. So it's not quite a bracket yet, but it will be Thursday night, Friday morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of Division II, excuse me, Division II softball, all games are taking place at Curti Fields, by the way.
Yep.
Pool play, the team Sitka versus Soldotna in Pool A, starting at noon. So Sitka and Soldotna, 2:30 p.m., Soldotna and Kenai, and then a 5 o'clock p.m. game in Pool A is Kenai and Sitka. In Pool B, 12 o'clock game, Kodiak versus Delta Junction, 2:30 game, Delta Junction versus Ketchikan, and then 5 o'clock in Pool B is Ketchikan versus Kodiak. So again, go to ASAA365.com. You can check out the pool matchups, right? And then after Thursday wraps up, you will finally get definitive bracket matchups on Friday and Saturday as well. So that's Division II. So again, the teams that are taking place in Division II, Sitka, Soldotna, and Kenai, along with Kodiak, Delta Junction, and Ketchikan are the 6 teams that make up Division II softball. Division I softball looks like this. Pool A, again, starting at 12 p.m. at the Cartier Fields. Colony versus Bettye Davis East Anchorage, and then at 2:30, Bettye Davis East Anchorage taking on the Chugiak Mustangs, and then at 5 o'clock, Chugiak versus Colony. That's Pool A. Pool B, comprised of the 12 o'clock matchup between South Anchorage and Juneau Douglas, 2:30 matchup between Juneau and Diamond, and then the 5 o'clock matchup between Diamond and South. So your Division I state softball qualifiers: Colony, East, Chugiak, South, Diamond, and Juneau. And again, we'll figure everything out a little bit more in terms of softball after Thursday, where things are going to be. But as of right now, I mean, just in terms of D1 softball, I think East has got a handle on it. I mean,
East
just
East has got, yeah, they're definitely going to be part of that 100%.
I don't
I,
know. I mean, the Wolverines can uh, step up. I know that they beat uh, East to win the CIC,
yep.
but I don't know. East has had a terrific season. Their offense has been fantastic. Rodriguez, um, a star pitcher. If she is on, good luck to anybody else,
Yep.
uh, because she has been fantastic in the circle this year for East. But we'll see. You know, it's the state tournament time. Never know
Yeah,
what's going to
it
happen.
it absolutely is. And you throw Juneau and Colony in there. Juneau's program has been in Division Two for the longest time,
Right,
but
right,
once Thunder Mountain closed at the beginning of this school year, it all combined again. So now they're back to Division One, and the Southeast is incredibly strong when it comes to softball. So I don't know if they played anybody. I know Juneau's win loss of 18 and 15, and one. There's some tournament game type stuff in there. So it's because there's the limit of 22 games, etc. And some of those other
right.
teams have that, like a Colony. But what does that look like when they come up against East or South or Chugiak Diamond? I don't know, but East is definitely very, very strong, and I think they're just going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out.
Yeah, they are. I think South had to win like 3 games or something to claim the CIC title, like the way that it worked out.
I
Like,
believe it. Well, if they lost at any point and they had to come back through
yeah,
the bracket, that's what would have to happen. They'd have to win three,
that's what I was
depending on
trying.
when they lost.
I was trying
So,
to figure out the bracket here for CIC, but yeah, they clawed their way through. Oh man, where's it at? I can't find it at the
well, it
moment.
must
But
be like a modified one because did Eagle River have a softball team this year?
um,
I don't know if
I
they
don't
did or
know.
not.
I don't know if they did either. To be honest with you,
I
they
don't
might
think they did. So it must be it must have been a
could have
little bit
been
of a modified bracket or the 16 bracket that you've got
right.
right now with a pigtail game kind of thing. But
Yeah, yeah,
D1 will be interesting. I'm kind of curious to see what D2 will look like. The Southeast has been incredibly strong over the last however many years, as long as I can remember, 6, 7 years
yeah.
of where they're the only ones that are in the championship game and one of the Southeast schools wins it. But Kodiak looks like they've been playing really, really strong, 16 and 8 overall. Can they do that? I know Sitka and Ketchikan's record is 14 and 14, and then Sitka with 4 ties. Ketchikan had 2 ties, but I know that they play a lot of Juneau down there, and they play each other a lot too. So, Juneau's a Division 1 team. What does that look like? Could Kodiak or Soldotna even crack that in the Southeast? I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting this time of
It
year.
will
I mean,
be.
we saw it in state soccer with some upsets, at least in terms of, where teams were seeded and things like that. And I think
Hmm.
if one good thing comes out of pool play, in my opinion, at least you kind of get an early gauge
Oh yeah,
of, all right,
100%. Yeah.
you know, you're not eliminated, right?
Nope.
You're
Nope.
just kind of like, all right, here's what we got to do, I guess, and
You
so
can
it's
kind
kind
of
of,
you can feel people out. You
yeah,
can kind of say, okay, well maybe this has to be switched, or maybe this person doesn't have it
right.
this weekend and they got to go to a different base or go to the outfield. I don't know, but
Or the bench.
or the bench. Yeah, or the bench. Yeah,
Hey, I'm
absolutely.
be honest.
Yeah,
You're not
that's
you bench. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're not seeing the ball. The ball is going
Yeah.
through your
Yeah.
legs. Yeah,
You're
we're gonna
you're
put you
0
on the
for
bench.
12. So yeah, just we're gonna
Why
yeah,
don't you
you're
sit
not gonna
over there
bat.
for a little bit?
Yeah. But anyway. Uh, so D1 and D2 softball championships taking place at the Cartier Fields. They start on Thursday with pool play, and then Friday and Saturday will advance into the brackets, And you can see the matchups at ASAA365.com. So that
And I
sets up
can,
this. Oh,
well,
go
I
ahead.
can mention that the NFHS network, because there's so many fields going on at the same time, and there's Division One baseball and Division Two baseball, there is the NFHS network is going to be streaming the game 7, 9, and the championship for Division One and Division Two softball. So those
Got it.
Saturday games of the winners bracket, basically, we're going to be streaming those. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
should
All
be
right.
good.
It should be. It'll be a good time. Um, Kind of segues into D2 baseball because uh, D2 baseball, it's not taking place here in the Anchorage area. It
Nope.
is, or even the Valley for that matter. It's down on the peninsula this year, down at Coral Seymour Park, there in Kenai. The bracket has been released. Many of you who follow the podcast probably already know where to get this information from.
Yeah.
So you may have seen it already, but nevertheless, I will bore you with the matchups in Division Two baseball. So Soldotna in Houston playing at 3. This is the top portion of the bracket, by the way. Playing at 3:30 p.m. Soldotna, the number 1 seed out of the Northern Lights. Houston, the number 3 seed
The
out of
they have the D2 baseball has at larges.
the at large.
So
Yes,
they've got they're the third at
at
large.
large.
Yep.
Correct. And then so that's the third at large for the Houston Hawks. And then the 10 o'clock game, getting everything started. Monroe Catholic taking on Kodiak, who got the first at large berth. North Pole taking on Palmer. And then that's at 12:45. And then Kenai taking on Homer at 6:15 to wrap things up. They're on day 1 on Thursday of D2 baseball. So Division Two baseball, in terms of outlook, I
It's
Soldotna, I mean, looking
it,
strong again. I mean, they've been strong over the last 2-3 years
they've won the
in
last.
D2.
I'm pretty sure it's the last 3 state championships for Division Two they've won. I know it's the
Yeah, they
last
have.
2 for
Yeah,
sure, but I'm pretty
yeah,
sure it's 3.
yeah.
Um, it's we've talked a lot about it in this podcast. This will be the last year that it's a 8-team tournament.
Right.
It's going down to 4 next year, which I think is a good move, and it all goes back to pitching. It's just very
Has
difficult.
to.
It's
Yeah.
hard for Division One teams to do it, and they have a lot more people to pull from. Division Two, it's all about who has the pitching depth. And right now, I think that pitching depth is in the Northern Lights Conference.
Yeah.
So you look at Soldotna, you look at Kenai, you look at Palmer. I think those are the teams to really look at. Kodiak is another Northern Lights team. I think they could make a run for it as well. So it all to me it all goes back to pitching depth. And right now, I'd have to lean towards a Kenai Soldotna kind of matchup again.
Right.
Or not again, but a matchup this year. Soldotna back in the championship game. Again, that's kind of what I'm foreseeing with this. But that being said, it's on the Kenai. It's the first time it's been on the Kenai. It's been at Wasilla for the last 6 years, I think it is.
Yeah, it has for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. So, or 5 years, 5 or 6 years.
I think since COVID,
I
the
think
COVID
it's,
year.
yeah,
But
it's been since COVID. So I think it's been 5. Palmer won the first year, and then I believe Soldotna's won the rest of them. So it will be fun to watch that. And we'll be interested to see how it is. If you didn't ever get to watch the Division Two hockey tournament that was broadcast from down there, we're doing something with the Division Two baseball with some multi-camera stuff and some replays and other
it's gonna
things
be
like
nice.
that. So definitely want to check that out. I think it'll be a fun event for everybody, and that'll be on the NFHS network as well, all the games. So pretty excited for that. And again, it all goes back to pitching.
Yep.
Who's got the pitching at the D2 level? That's where, to me, that's always where it goes. And Soldotna, Palmer over the last few years have been the strongest in that. And Kenai's proven that this year. that they're pretty strong with that. So the edge to me, that edge goes to those three.
If you can have anybody throw strikes,
Yeah.
like in high school baseball, especially up here, just get
Yeah.
the ball over the plate, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like, well, it's pretty simple to do. It's not, but 60 feet, 6 inches, you're trying to consistently hit you know, a cardboard box, consistently. And, uh,
That's
but
not so. Nope. That's not something I can do. I
yeah,
cannot
yeah, it's
pitch.
tough. It's tough. But I have noticed the teams that succeed obviously have pitching, but they're consistent enough to know that if they can just put the ball over the plate and force other teams to put it in play,
Yep.
right? They are so much better off than walk, walk, and then the one time you do put the ball over the plate, it's roped for a double, and now everybody's coming around to score or something like that. But uh, teams that are just allow pitchers to throw strikes, right, and can find pitchers that can consistently get the ball in the zone, right, a lot more success here in high school baseball just because of arms, right? Don't
Yep.
have don't have
It's
four to
all
five
about the
arms,
arms.
right?
It's all
So,
about the arms and what kind of defense can you play behind them.
yep, exactly. So D2 baseball again, Soldotna, Houston, Monroe Catholic, and Kodiak, North Pole and Palmer, Kenai and Homer. All those games starting on Thursday. It all starts at 10 a.m. with that Monroe Catholic and Kodiak matchup down at Coral Seymour Park, down there in Kenai. Beautiful ballpark, by the way,
It's a gorgeous ballpark.
down
Yeah,
in
it'll be
Kenai.
really nice down there for that. It'll be
Oh, it
nice
will
to
be.
have. It'll be nice for Division II to be in a nice ballpark. The Wasilla Field's excellent. It's a nice little facility there, but this is more like a ballpark, more like a
Yeah.
Mulcahy. So it'll be nice for Division II to be in that.
Trying to look up the weather in Kenai over the next little while. What did you see
I
anything?
I didn't see anything for the Kenai. I know what it's supposed to be, right? Like for here, but that being said, the weather app, which kind of lies to you every now and then, as everybody knows, I thought
Oh,
I thought it was going to be really, really horrible out at soccer last weekend, but actually it
comfortable.
wasn't. It wasn't terrible. The wind
Yeah.
Thursday wasn't great at Colony anyway. The wind was pretty bad, but I know it was like that at all three fields. And then Friday morning was nasty. But then by
Yeah.
Friday night,
Cleared
there's
up.
a little bit of sun that poked through, and then Saturday was okay. It was cool, but nothing crazy.
Weather down in Kenai for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Temperatures in the mid 50s, mostly sunny, partly cloudy, so it's going to be pretty
Oh,
nice.
that'll
Chance
be
of
nice.
showers on Saturday. So there is your weather update provided by. No, I'm just
Provided by, that will be
kidding.
wrong.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, D1 baseball also taking place this weekend at Mulcahy Baseball Stadium here at Anchorage. Bracket has been set. Some good matchups on hand. I'm
Oh yeah.
kind of
Yeah, there's some really good matchups.
yeah. There are some really good matchups. I'm a little bit surprised, and I'll mention my surprise here in a moment of where a couple of these teams were at on the side of the bracket. But teams that are taking part in the D1 baseball tournament starting on Thursday, 10 a.m. game, Sitka and South. Sitka, the number one seed out of the Southeastern Conference. Fantastic baseball team. They've had a
Oh
fantastic
yeah.
regular season. No surprise there. South, the number three team out of the Cook Inlet Conference. The next game followed at 1 p.m. between the number two seed out of the CIC, Service, and the number two seed out of the Southeast, Juneau Douglas Crimson Bears. The 4 o'clock game between Colony and Diamond, and then the nightcap, the number one seed out of the Cook Inlet, the Eagle River Wolves, who clinched their first Cook Inlet Conference championship this past weekend. Ever in school history, by the way. It was the second Cook Inlet Conference state championship for their head coach, Bill Learman. He won out at Chugiak back in 2008. But they will take on the Wasilla Warriors, the number two seed out of the Rail Belt Conference. Now, Isaiah, here's my baby shock, okay? And I
Yep.
think maybe you know where I'm
I
going.
think I know where you're going.
Eagle River and Service on the same side of the bracket.
I know.
Like,
I know. Believe me, I know. I was putting that together going, ouch, that's going to hurt.
yeah,
And we all knew it coming because it's a conference rotation. It's been in the handbook for years. We knew that CIC 1 and CIC 2 is going to be on the same side of the bracket. So even if, Eagle River hadn't upset Service, it was still going to be the number one and number two on the same side. It's just that's a brutal rotation.
It
That's why
is.
I was excited years and years ago when I was after I was done coaching that basketball that the 3A was able to go to a WPI slash RPI system because we had conference rotations where many times Heritage when I was coaching we would end up playing the Southeast in the semifinals and that was always the de facto championship game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was we won a couple of them and we lost one. You know, it just that's the way it went. And we you could always see it coming, but yeah, that Friday night if Eagle River and Service, you know, end up winning as the higher seeds and all that, if that 7 o'clock game on Friday night could be unbelievable.
Well, I mean, they're coming off of Eagle River and Service coming off an unbelievable CIC
Yeah,
championship game. I mean, the thing
absolutely.
went to extra innings. It went to 10
Hmm.
innings, right? And Cole Smith, he had a triple in that game. And then Preston Jones ended up scoring on a sacrifice fly in the 10th inning uh, as well to score the game winning run. But uh, yeah, I mean,
It's
two top
ouch.
teams. Yeah, I mean,
It's ouch. I
they
know.
are two of the
It's
best
ouch.
teams overall in the state, let alone the conference, right? And it just kind of, yeah, I mean, it stinks. It is what it is, but
You want the
uh,
two best in the you
you
want the
do
two best in the championship. I
ideally,
100%
but I mean, yeah,
100% agree. And
yeah,
that's why I've been a proponent. That's why I said the same thing with hockey. I'll say the same thing with baseball. It's all the team sports. And I've even been a proponent of it for volleyball as well. Even though they have the double elimination for state, to me it doesn't matter. I want the best teams in the championships and where they're supposed to be. Now, granted, there's upsets, all that kind of stuff, but place them how they should be. The RPI for baseball, I would definitely recommend that. I know hockey's
yeah,
going to that next year, which is great. I would really like to see D2 and D1 baseball do the same thing. And when looking at this schedule or when you're looking at these teams that qualified, there was a lot of crossover. Juneau played quite a few teams, not as many, obviously, as an Eagle River or Service, but they still had a lot of number of games.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's some, that's, yeah, I believe me, I saw that and I'm like, oh man, oh man, oh
Have
man.
you heard any blowback from anybody else? I mean, nobody. I haven't
Not
heard
not
anything
yet.
really,
I mean,
other than just me looking at it. But
I'm sure we'll hear something about it when we're on site. The truth we're taping this podcast on Tuesday night. The Wednesday night is the coaches meeting. You know, they can say something, but the
yeah,
truth is
it's not
there's
going to
not
change
really,
anything. Obviously, yeah. I mean,
I can say, yeah, I don't disagree with you. Here's
right,
how I would suggest remedying that. Because it's the
right.
same discussion I had with hockey coaches for years. So
Yeah,
it'll be the same thing I say with baseball coaches.
totally,
Now
totally.
the flip side of that is you don't really have any questions on when to use your pitchers. You you know
True,
that's it's pretty
true.
clear. It's pretty clear on what on what that looks like on Friday night. So again, Eagle River's got to get by Wasilla, and Service has got to get by Juneau,
Totally, totally.
and Juneau and Sitka, Southeast teams. You know, they're able to get out earlier than anybody else when those practices start. They're able to actually get out onto the fields, unlike teams up here in Anchorage,
Yeah.
Valley, and Fairbanks. So they're
I don't.
usually ahead on a lot of those things.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at the regular season schedule at least deep enough to see if Sitka and Juneau had played. Like, I don't know if Service has played either two of those
I think
teams during the.
Sitka had played Service, and it was pretty close.
Yeah.
And they'd played South. Sitka had a pretty balanced schedule. Juneau not as much, but Sitka had definitely played some teams. Colony, they could be sneaky good. Just kind of
Could be. Yeah.
looking at their season from the year and the teams they played and how close some of those were. Now, granted, you know, you're going against different pitchers, all that kind of
Right.
stuff. I
Right.
get that, but you know, looking at the bracket, I think there's going to be four really solid games. The fact that Sitka South, you know, is a 10 a.m. game should kind of tell you that this is going to be a pretty interesting first round first quarterfinals.
No, it will be. It will be good
Really will be.
opening round on Thursday. Again, games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All these games taking place at Mulcahy Stadium down in Anchorage. So you can get your tickets online already, ASAA365.com, and
Yep.
get ready for D1 baseball championships at Mulcahy. And then also maybe if you want to swing by and check out some softball
Yeah.
games at Carty.
Well, and what we've done at ASAA is if you buy a ticket for baseball or softball on Thursday, it's good for both.
Nice.
So if you go to softball for a while, you can come over to baseball and vice versa. Same thing on Friday and Saturday. So we're not trying to gouge people. If you buy one ticket at one place, it's good for both. So we want people to go back and forth as much as possible and support their teams and support the baseball and softball sport itself. So hopefully
Cool.
people will take advantage of that. I know we see a
There'll
lot
be a
of
few.
softball, we see
Yeah.
a lot of softball teams go back and forth and some parents of those teams. So that's great. We always like to see that. But anybody that likes softball or baseball, we'd love to see them support each other.
Give a couple of shout outs here as we wind down this episode of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Should make note of it. Bill Learman, with that win last week over Service in extra innings, picked up his 170th career win
Wow.
as a head coach between Chugiak Mustangs and the Eagle River Wolves. He's number 2 on the all time list. Don't know who number 1 is based upon the article from Alaska Sports Report. Van Williams doing a terrific report. I would assume my guess is Tony Wiley would be my guess for the
It's a
number
good,
1
it's a good
all
guess.
time.
It's a
But
good
that's
guess.
just that's my guess. Also, Gatorade Player of the Year as well being announced for baseball. It went to drum roll. There was only two. There's 2 candidates, 2 horses for this thing. It went to Services Rylan Nikolai picking it up over Liam Learman, the star pitcher for the Eagle River Wolves. But Rylan Nikolai winning the Gatorade Player of the Year in baseball this year, and certainly deserving. He's had a terrific season, not only defensively, but also with the bat as well. Probably the best hitter in the state of Alaska. So congratulations to Rylan Nikolai. His older brother Cohen plays at Oregon, the University of Oregon, who, by the way, sorry, they got eliminated in the opening round of the NCAA baseball tournament. But
Yeah,
he
they did.
also
Yep.
won the Gatorade Player of the Year. Only time ever that a pair of brothers have won the Gatorade Player of the Year in any sport.
Really?
So, yeah. So there you go. Little did you know. Yep.
Wow. I thought
So,
maybe, wow.
pretty
I'm
sure.
wondering, well, and this I don't know. I don't know. I know Tobin Carlberg got Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, did his brother Life get Gatorade Player of the Year? He was in a pretty
Uh,
stacked. He was in a pretty stacked couple years of basketball players in the
yeah.
state. So
I
I
don't
don't know if he ever. I don't know if he ever won it.
I don't know either.
I
Like,
don't. I know
it's possible.
Tobin won.
Yeah.
I'm
I
trying to
mean,
think.
when was Life there? Life was at Grace when?
He was 06. 06 was, I think, his graduation year.
Okay.
I think it was 06 was his graduation year.
I mean, so you're going up against the likes of, geez, uh, I want to say West had Ramon Harris
Ramon
at that
graduated.
time.
Ramon graduated the year before.
Okay.
He was in 05 with Lonnie and Trenton and those guys.
Okay.
Um, but West had
There
a
was a,
few.
yeah.
West, that's what I'm saying is that was a pretty stacked few years there with some players from West, from some East, those brothers from East. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
The mid 2000s was packed with
it was
some
packed.
talent. Yeah.
There was some real unbelievable players then.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Fireside chats with Isaiah
Yeah,
Freeman.
yeah,
It's going
yeah,
down memory lane.
yeah, going down memory lane. You, I, we know those brothers have won. I
Yeah.
don't know about any of the other. The only ones I could think of would have been close. Would have been
Yeah.
Carlberg, but I
The
don't know if
Carlbergs.
Life ever won it or not.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Hmm.
I don't. Yeah,
We'll have to we'll have to get stats and research on that.
yeah. Uh, Cohen won Gatorade Player of the Year, by the way, twice. Cohen Nikolai for service
Oh wow.
2024, 2023. Um,
Wow.
so that's in baseball. So yeah, Rylan and Cohen, first of the brothers to win Gatorade honors um, in the state of Alaska. So anyway, there you go. If you know of any other siblings that won Gatorade Player of the Year,
Yeah.
you
That would
know,
be good to know.
in the same sport, like let me know. Like let us know. I would love to know that kind of information. So be really cool. I don't know if there's a website dedicated to like Gatorade Player of the Years. Like you would think there would be, but I don't know. Have to look into that. So anyway, a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, jam packed with a lot of state championship baseball and softball coming up. Then after things wrap up here, it's kind of almost like a little bit of a downtime. I mean, you got Alaska
There's
Baseball League stuff going
yeah.
on. You're in the off season for the Anchorage Wolverines as they get ready to reload and revamp things a little bit going into the fall. So it's going to be kind of a little bit of a quiet period for
Yeah, there's always some
a little bit.
runs and some other
Yeah.
stuff that are going on, but as far as real organized team sports and other things like that, it's definitely more of a lighter time. People are going out and fishing.
Yes.
And
Maybe we can do a fishing report.
we can do a fishing report. I know somebody who used to do a fishing report on the
Oh, yeah.
news. Yeah.
Yeah. No way.
Maybe I can get her to do a fishing report.
There you go.
Yeah. Guest
Smart.
on the pod for a fishing report.
Totally.
Yeah.
I bet she'd probably do it.
She
I mean,
probably she actually probably would.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, anything else to add before we sign this episode off?
Just come on out to baseball and softball this weekend. It's going to be a good time. I really, it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
No, you won't want to miss a minute of the action. That's for sure. It's going to be an exciting time. You know, the ballparks, whether that's here in Anchorage or whether that's down on the peninsula for Division Two, down at Coral Seymour Park, down in Kenai. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Be sure you like, subscribe, whatever it is that you want to do to favorite our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We greatly appreciate it. If you were the person that last week gave us 1 star, boo to you. I'm just kidding. I didn't see that, but it probably happened. But anyway,
Yeah,
I mean,
probably at some point.
yeah, I don't know, but it
We
was
don't
me
we don't
actually.
want that,
I
but
did it.
you know,
I did it.
you did it.
I did it. I did it. I sabotaged us. I did
Isaiah's
it.
head
No.
is getting too big. I'm gonna give it
Yeah.
a 1 star.
1 star. 1 star. Anyway, this episode maybe it's a 5 star. Maybe we change up the rating. I don't know. Maybe it's
I think we deserve a 5 star today.
yeah. I think so.
We covered
I
a lot
think
of
we do.
things.
We did. We did. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast for Isaiah Vreeman, Keaton Homer. We'll see you at the ballpark this weekend.